Hey everyone, welcome to Film Word Recaps. Today, we're going to break down a powerful 2016 movie called Girl Lost. Before we dive into the full story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Now, let's get into it. This is Shara, a young girl whose mother, Kimmy, is a prostitute. Even Kimmy doesn't know who Shara's father is. One day, a man approaches Kimmy. He notices young Shara and makes an inappropriate offer, $100. Shara looks him straight in the eye and says, $100 isn't enough for me. I'm not like my mother. Angered by her response, the man tries to force himself on her. Just then, Kimmy walks in. She quickly pushes the man away, saving her daughter. Shara is shaken by the incident. She walks toward the swimming pool, trying to collect herself. Whenever she feels overwhelmed, she has a dangerous habit, self-harm. Unable to cope with her emotions, she takes a sharp object and makes a small cut on her leg. That night, while Shara is asleep, Kimmy quietly enters her room and gently wakes her up. She whispers, "We're leaving early tomorrow morning. We can't stay here anymore." They begin packing their things, preparing to move. Before they leave, Kimmy tells her, "2 of my clients will be here in 45 minutes. With that money, we'll be able to pay the rent." Because Kimmy is getting older, she has fewer clients, and they struggle to make ends meet. After a while, the men she mentioned arrive. Shara waits in the car, watching from a distance. When she realizes what her mother is doing, she feels deeply disappointed. By morning, they move into a new home. The house belongs to a friend of Kimmy's. However, Kimmy has a plan. She intends to continue her work there. When the landlord finds out, he asks Kimmy if it'll be a problem having Shara around. Kimmy responds without hesitation, "Shara knows all about my work." While swimming in the pool one afternoon, Shara meets John, the landlord's son. They strike up a conversation, and a friendship begins to form. The next day, during a house party, John and Shara spend hours talking, growing even closer. The following day, Kimmy takes Shara with her to meet a client. The man looks at Shara and immediately asks Kimmy if he can have her instead. But Kimmy refuses, saying, "She's my daughter. She doesn't do this kind of work." However, after thinking it over, Kimmy realizes something. If Shara gets involved in her business, they could make a lot more money. That night, Kimmy stays with the client for a long time. By the time she returns to the car, Shara is furious. As soon as Kimmy gets in, Shara snaps at her. Frustrated, Kimmy fires back, "You think I do this because I want to? I have no choice. We don't have money." The next morning, Shara leaves the house for a walk. While she's outside, she runs into John again. They spend the entire day together, sharing personal stories and enjoying each other's company. Slowly, their friendship begins to turn into something deeper. That night, Kimmy takes some flattering photos of Shara. She has a new plan. She intends to post them online and bring Shara into her world. The next day, after Kimmy uploads the photos, a man calls in response. Without telling Shara the full truth, Kimmy takes her to the man's house. As they arrive, she turns to Shara and says, "We have no money, no place to stay, and no way to pay rent. You need to do this. That's why you have to do these things," Kimmy says. She then tells Shara to come back in an hour. Handing Shara over to the man, she takes the money and leaves. After going into the room, the man notices Shara looking anxious. To calm her down, he gives her drugs and then takes advantage of her. The next day, Shara meets John at the swimming pool. She tells him everything Kimmy did to her. She says, "I have been working as a prostitute. Now that my mother is older and has fewer customers, I have to do this job." John looks at her and says, "I love you no matter what." From that moment, the two of them develop a close relationship. The following day, Shara is in the bathroom when John's father suddenly enters. He is very drunk and attempts to assault her. At the same time, John comes home, but Kimmy stops him from going inside because she knows exactly what is happening in the bathroom. At that moment, John hears Shara screaming. He pushes Kimmy aside and rushes into the bathroom. When he sees what his father is doing, he becomes furious. Without hesitation, he takes Shara and leaves the house. Together, they rent a separate place and start living on their own. Later, John goes out to get food. Meanwhile, Shara, overwhelmed by her emotions, cuts her leg. By now, she has done it so many times that she cannot stop herself. When John returns, he gets into bed with her and immediately notices the blood on her leg. Concerned, he asks, "Why is your leg bleeding?" But Shara ignores him and doesn't say anything. Even though they are now living separately, financial struggles soon become a problem. To help, John finds Shara a job at a nearby club. She works there for a while, but one day, a man touches her inappropriately. When she demands money from him, a huge commotion breaks out. Because of this incident, she is fired from her job at the club. When John finds out, he gets angry and scolds her. Shara defends herself, saying, "My mother told me not to give anything for free. That's why I took money from that man." At that moment, John, furious, shouts, "Your mother is a prostitute, and you are just like her. You're not normal, Shara. You're a psychopath who would even cut off your own leg." He then leaves her alone. Even though John left in anger, he still loves Shara deeply. However, now alone, Shara has nowhere to go. She decides to return to her mother. When she arrives at Kimmy's place, she sees Kimmy getting close to John's father. Disgusted, she immediately turns around and leaves. As time passes, Shara becomes desperate without money. Meanwhile, John gets caught stealing, is beaten badly, and left on the street. With no other choice, he returns to his father. With no way to survive, Shara eventually decides to find a man willing to pay for her. That man turns out to be the same one who, at the beginning of the story, tried to assault her by offering $100. She meets him and tells him she is willing to fulfill his physical needs in exchange for money. After that, Shara starts living in his house, forced to do the same work her mother once did. Later, Shara finds a place where women like her are given jobs and begins working there. Many other girls work at the same place. However, before meeting with customers, Shara always takes drugs. Because of this, most of her earnings go toward buying more drugs, leaving her with very little money. Still, the boss keeps her around because she is in high demand among customers. Now, she is forced to spend more time with men than she can handle. One day, John sees Shara's photos posted online by the place where she works. Shocked, he calls and books an appointment with her. At that time, Shara has just finished work with a client. Exhausted, she doesn't want to be with another man. However, because the boss only cares about money, she is forced to get ready and go to the room. When she enters, she sees John. Overcome with emotion, she hugs him tightly and tells him everything she has been through. After that, the two of them start living a new life together. But before long, money becomes a problem again. When the situation worsens, Shara tells John, "I was underpaid at my previous workplace. I'm going to ask for the rest of my money." The two of them go to the place where she used to work to demand her unpaid wages. John tells Shara to wait in the car. He goes inside with a pistol and says, "My girl's salary hasn't been paid properly. Give me the rest of her money." He causes a major scene. However, before he can react, one of the men working there sneaks up behind him and shoots him. After some time passes, John still doesn't return. Worried, Shara goes inside to find out what happened. What she finds is heartbreaking: John is dead. She is in complete shock. No matter how many men Shara has been with, the only one she ever truly loved was John. The pain is unbearable. With no one left, Shara returns to her mother. She goes into the bathroom, makes a final decision, and says goodbye to her life. By the time Kimmy finds her, it is already too late. A film that serves as a harsh lesson for society. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave your valuable opinion in the comments, and give the video a like. See you in the next movie recap.